You're watching Moms Matter. I'm your host, Shirin Yadigar. In the studio with me, I have two parents who are serious warriors whose children are lone soldiers. I have my dear friend, Rabbi Elisa Benay, who is a rabbi at Wilshire Boulevard Temple and truly is raising the next generation of Zionists, strong and hardy, and is just a brilliant woman, a Fulbright fellow who got to study in India. And I have my new friend, Mr. Goldman, who is the executive director of Israel Bonds and also served as a paratrooper in the IDF and is the grandchild of Holocaust survivors. So we are going to get deep, we're going to get real, and we're going to spend the next 20 minutes with these two incredible warriors for Israel. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. Rabbi Benay, I want to start with you.
Okay.
And it's really close to home. Your son grew up in LA, had an amazing life. Has an amazing life, went to Columbia University, and then decided that he was going to drop out and go serve for the Israeli Defense Forces, and he's there right now.
Yes, he is there right now. So I am fresh and new as a parent of a soldier because he just enlisted in August. Taking a leave of absence from Columbia after having spent a beautiful internship in Israel, and he just really had an awakening and decided that this was his time and this was the moment. And it was interesting kind of how he framed it for me. He said, you know, Ima, I didn't do a gap year because it was COVID, it was 2021. I didn't do a gap year and I'm not going to do a semester abroad. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to be in Israel. I've always wanted to do this and he's doing it. So it's all new.
It's all new, and he arrived in September.
In August, yes. So he had kind of in the summertime, he had his mechina, like a preparation class, met his fellow like soldiers that were going to enlist at the same time, decided in that process which division of the IDF he wanted to go to. He wanted to go for the paratroopers. So he really trained a lot for that. Over the summer, he came home for a couple of weeks and then showed up the third week of August and went for the tryouts, the auditions. I don't know all the technical language because, you know, it's not my world. Now it is. And he was very proud that he was accepted to be a paratrooper. It was one of his goals. And for him to be able to achieve that was a source of great pride for us. We, of course, didn't know what would be happening in September and then in October. So it's definitely been a change of the reality for us.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And you, Mr. Goldman, you have a daughter who went to serve straight out of high school. Mm-hmm. And she's been there now for a year and a half?
She's been in Israel for 2 years. It takes time for a new immigrant to do, you know, the whole process. She went with something called the Garin Sabar, which kind of takes groups of lone soldiers that want to volunteer into the IDF, puts them in a kibbutz and all that. And she's been in the IDF for a year and a half, yes. So she's been active duty for a year and a half.
And what happened for the both of you on October 7th with your children both being IDF soldiers and you being here in the United States?
So David was with his older brother, Yoni, who is a student there at IDC. We have 3 boys, all in different parts of their journey. And they were getting ready to celebrate Simchat Torah with my husband's family who live in Sha'arei Tikva. And he was very much looking forward to being able to have a couple of days off to get his apartment together, get a bed, get pillows, get everything set up for him to start his new life in Israel as a lone soldier. And in the morning on October 7th, he got the phone call and things were starting to really activate all over the country, and he was called back in. Our relatives took him to the center in Tel Aviv where there was transportation, and from then he has been on his training base, and now he's also been transferred into one of the active bases on the border of Gaza. They accelerated certain parts of his training so that he would be useful within the paratrooper unit. There's still many levels that he has to complete, but he is actively guarding and actively keeping that base safe as the soldiers are dispatched from there into their respective jobs and roles.
So we were at, it was Friday night here when it all went down. We were at a sukkah with about 40 families. And suddenly the phones, everybody was going to their phones. And, you know, Israelis, we have access to everything, and everyone's showing that, you know, this terrorist with the bazookas at the ring. I don't know if you saw this, and suddenly we're understanding what's going on. So the first thing we did is call my daughter, who was home, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm getting picked up, and we're heading to base. Her base is in the south." And we didn't know how deep the terrorists got, and she's going to go drive in the south. And in 2021, the last big battle, call it, I don't know if you remember, but it was also kind of an Arab uprising within Israel.
Yeah.
So me and my wife left the sukkah, got in the car, went home, and we couldn't hear from my daughter for about an hour. And it was the longest hour, I'm telling you, the longest hour of my life. And finally she called and said, "Okay, I'm on base." And it was a very, very tough day for them. Because what happens is, my daughter serves in Shaldag. I don't know if you know the unit. I served in the paratroopers too.
All right.
So God bless the red beret of your son. I'm sure he's, wait till he gets
Yes.
it. You'll feel chills all over
Yeah.
your body. But my daughter's in the more, she's in, there's 3 top elite units in Israel. It's Matkal, Shayetet, and Shaldag. And I learned over the last month that it's sad that we're talking like that, but the casualty rate in these units are the lowest. But on October 7th, they were the first units because they have their own choppers. And they were the first units to go. And we're talking 3,000 terrorists that invaded the south. And they couldn't even find a place to land their choppers. And they were supposed to go and save Be'eri. Go fight and take care of Be'eri, which has probably suffered the second most losses after Kfar Aza, I think. And on the way to Be'eri, they were caught in fire in Kibbutz Alumim, and now a person got hurt in Alumim. And then they went to Be'eri and rescued the hostages and rescued everyone. There's amazing footage of it, but they lost 5 guys. So 5 guys. Now, I, in my job, give speeches, so every time I bring in, you know, the casualties of my daughter's unit, every speech goes up. So my daughter's always running from base to base, depending where they're needed as a unit. And then in the middle, she's stopping at funerals. And it's tough. It's very tough. And it's sad to say, I was in the Army 30 years ago, and I lost 7 guys in our unit in southern Lebanon on 2 occasions. And it's sad. And one part, she said, "I never thought I'd have the equal number as you, and I think I'm going to pass you." So it's just like we talked earlier, it's a generational thing that we just as Jews, I think, have to get used to, that we're always going to be fighting for our survival.
I mean, it's incredible. Your daughter is 20, your son is 21. And these are the best years of their lives. Like, our kids are rah, rah, rah in American universities. And they decided to go and serve and be heroes. They're I say, sacrificing their lives to serve for the greater good of humanity. And most of the world demonizes IDF soldiers when they're young kids that are going out there and doing everything they can. They were the first responders, right? When the Islamists came in and just mass, butchered people. I mean, you have your phones here because they might call. How are you doing? How are you handling this?
For me, every day is a little bit different. There are days when I'm very scared for him. What helps me, sadly, keep it in check is that I know relative to what the families of hostages are experiencing, what the families who are just now finishing their shloshim are experiencing, that I dig deep and I have found a way to be determined to not succumb to the darkness and the sadness. I feel that David has chosen a path, as has his older brother Yoni, who is there serving and volunteering and picking strawberries and cleaning up in areas that need help. And to know that 2 of my biological children, you asked me what is his story. I think that his story started before he was born. His story started when my grandmother was raising money for Israel bonds in the 1940s and 50s and 60s and 70s. And that courses through David's veins when his father and grandfather and uncle and relatives have all served in the IDF in a number of different capacities. I think that he feels very much that he's doing his part and that he is walking in the footsteps of those who set the path before him. And so it's frightening and bittersweet, but it's also a sign that this community did something that was beautiful, right? I've been saying for weeks now, yes, of course, he's my son, but he's our soldier.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He's not there for me. He's not there for himself. I mean, he is, and he will make those connections, and he will come away, God willing, healthy and safe and with an understanding of peoplehood, of nation, of commitment, of fidelity. But he's there because he knows that it's important, and he knows that Israel is something that we have always fought for. And now it's his turn. And I know that he feels, from the beautiful videos that he sends, he's very grateful for the support, and he feels emboldened by it. It fuels him. And so how I'm doing is that I'm doing, and making sure that our community knows that we're all in it together. We all have our different roles, and our soldiers, our lone soldiers especially, have chosen this holy work, and we can honor them by being present, by fighting our fight within our own communities, on social media, whatever it is, and also choosing to not fight, to just occupy a space of joy and mitzvot and kindness and goodness, and leaning into our broader community, the non-Jewish community who stand with us, and making it a hospitable space for everyone to join in that goodness.
And that's why you are the rabbi. That is why we come to you, because you're the one that always is shining the light. It's like we go in on Fridays and all these kids are singing and all the parents are there. And as much as we've been persecuted time and time again, you're there to say, no, let's be the light. Let's continue to shine the light. And that's what you're doing as parents. I mean, I would think that I would want to pick up the phone and say to my daughter, come home right now. What are you doing? That's what I would want to do.
So I'm going to answer through my daughter. So the first 2 weeks, she was very, very, obviously, even now, extremely busy. Like, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
There's no one to talk to. But I knew something's wrong. I knew, because when she did talk, you know, my daughter's the type that no matter what you ask her, she's always good. She's a pleaser. She always does what everyone wants. She'll go with the flow. And I knew her answers are not like her. And I got a little worried because, you know, you asked how you guys doing. We're as good as our country, you know. That's what I'm answering now. I'm as good as Israel is, so it's not, you know, it's not so good. And then finally, she posted something on Instagram. Now, she's probably been offline, and if you don't mind, I'll read it to you.
Yes, of course.
So I prepared it ahead of time.
I like it. He's prepared. That's what you do when you're the executive director of Israel Bonds.
That's right.
The picture, it's a picture of her graduating in 21. Now, in 21, I don't know if you remember, it was scary also to walk around as a Jew. There was the sushi attack against the Jews. Right. You know, it was scary.
That's right.
And she graduated in May in a public high school where there was a lot of pro-Palestinian and, you know, and this is how she went to graduation. Okay.
Oh, wow.
With the cap of the
Cap.
IDF.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's a cap with a Magen David and the IDF.
And on the right, she has someone with a cap that says made in Israel. He was probably born in Israel. And she writes like this, trying to put into words how thankful I am that I made the decision to leave home and join the IDF. So thankful to be here and to be taking a part in this fight. No country in the world like this one. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. Best decision of my life. Never want to leave. So the minute I saw this post, I was good. Like I knew, okay, she's whole with what she's doing. She feels good about what she's doing. And then a few days later, because she finally got on social media, her mood dropped to the ground.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see that she's a soldier, you know, and people are, you know, giving, like you said, their lives up for this nation. And by the way, it's not just for Israel. That's a whole other discussion. The IDF is fighting the world's fight. That's what's sad about this. And she's looking at the internet, and she knows how many risks soldiers take to minimize casualties, meaning basically, it's not popular to say it, definitely now, because we shouldn't, but we risk our lives to save their lives, the other side's lives. And she's seeing all this vicious attacks on social media, and she's telling me, do they not understand that we're fighting their fight? Do they not understand that for radical Islam, okay, radical, not Muslims, radical Islam, the infidels are the LGBTQ, they're the infidels to the 10th degree, the Christians, the women, the women, where are the women? Where are the feminist movements? Go show me, where are they? Where's the gay right movement in Gaza? They're dead. So that's what kills her. What kills her isn't the war. What kills her isn't the danger to your son or to my daughter. What kills her is that the world doesn't see the fight that's being fought here. That's what's demoralizing her.
It is. It is. How and what are they doing? I mean, I'll see beautiful videos of soldiers and Omer Adam coming and sing with them to keep their morale high. Because the truth is, if your kids come onto a college campus right now in the United States or Canada or anywhere else, it is very demoralizing, right? You think, how could this be? How is it that my gay lesbian friend won't let me into a space because I'm a Jew and I'm walking with an Israeli flag? Like you said, IDF is protecting all of the Western world. It's not just Israel. It's not. But the world doesn't get it. And so we're doing our best to keep our morale high here. But what are they doing in Israel? Like, what are they doing for these young, they're 20 years old. These are young kids that are fighting for democracy, for humanity. What are we doing to keep their morale up?
Well, I know for sure that the letters and the cards are arriving, right? We see these pictures of tanks that have the greeting cards, from kindergarten students and college students and everyone in between that are arriving in Israel. I think that the positive posting on social media, all the Am Yisrael Chai, the bracelets, the pins, the gear, also the direct texting, and just that our soldiers don't feel that they are alone, that boosts their morale. I'll say that at the beginning, I wasn't, because as a mom who's new to the whole IDF scene, I wasn't sure myself what to say, what not to say. And I asked David to really stay off of his zone, to not even look at the horrific imagery that was being posted and continues to be posted. And he said, Ima, don't worry, they're talking to us about how to prevent PTSD. And that the army is really the IDF is taking an active role, keeping them physically safe, emotionally safe, spiritually safe, psychosocially, on all the different levels. So from out of nowhere, all of a sudden, an organization will show up with barbecues and meat and music and love and sandwiches and all sorts of supplies. They know that there is gear that goes over on every LL flight and that people are just taking things, not from random strangers, because I think the new awareness is that we are all family and this is all very personal. So keeping their morale in the right place, I think that they are aware of the support around the world. And that people now, instead of saying, talk to you later, or L'Shalom, or Ba'ahava, is all Am Yisrael Chai, from the oldest to the youngest and everywhere in between, that people are leaning into their Jewish identity, their Jewish pride, with the realization that we are in a dangerous situation, right? A precarious situation that has a tendency to look dark and to become dangerous. Interesting, they both graduated the same year, 2021. And so, the road less traveled, that, your daughter went straight and David went straight to the college campus. And I think that there was enough going on that Columbia campus that our children experienced together, that he felt that the only way that he could fight and actually meet with success and feel that he is contributing was by going to Israel. And so the connection now that he has with his classmates, with his best friends, with his lifelong friends, he knows that they are fighting on very different fronts, but the enemy is very real.
Oh, I call it the front lines.
Yeah.
I think we're in the front lines here. I think you're in the front lines. God bless. Really, and I just hope that when this kind of settles down, that all the Jews and all those who do believe in, in a more enlightened life, in Western culture, in prosperity, and living together and getting along, stay the course, because it's always stay the course, and Jews have to stay Zionists. That's another thing. We have to understand we're all carrying the same stretcher. Your son is going to learn a lot about carrying a stretcher. And we're all carrying the same stretcher, and we all got to get under the stretcher. And yeah, like she said, I think it uplifts the Israelis to see Jews around the world and non-Jews stick with them no matter what.
I mean, you're both shedding so much light. You were raised as Zionists. You've served. You're raising generation after generation of good humans who love humanity, most importantly, right? And I promised I'd get you guys out of here in 20 minutes. But I want you each to leave us with just a message that you want to share with everybody watching today. You've served, you've seen, this is not the first time we've seen this. It won't be the last time we see this. You say we need to stay the course. What is the best message you want to share with people on what we should be doing and what we should be continuing to do?
Unconditional love between each other. We've seen it. Listen, we've gotten on a spiritual level. We just got a serious slap in our face. And we kind of put our face out there to get it. Okay? I'll say a few things. We got to stick to the truth. Okay? So as much as we love peace and want peace, if the school system of our neighbors is teaching kids that are 5 years old, 6 years old, we have to kill Jews, even the Nazis didn't do it so boldly. We have to face it. We have to deal with it. And more importantly, is we got to stop crossing the red line in the fighting and bickering between ourselves. So conservatives, progressive, Orthodox, Reform, we're always going to disagree. Always. We're Jews, 4 Jews, 8 opinions. That's the way it is. Always been that way.
Yes, yeah.
But we cross the red lines when Jews, and some are my good friends, go to the UN to protest against Israel. That's crossing a red line. Okay? The lines have been crossed on all sides, so I don't want to start giving examples because I'll forget someone and they'll say, hey, it was their fault too, and we'll start it all. We have to remember, at death and persecution, we've always been one. Yes. No one differentiates between the Orthodox or the Reform or the conservative or the progressive. We saw it on October 7th again. At death and persecution, we're one nation. I hope we'll be one nation also when we build. So
Amen.
That's
Amen.
my
Beautiful.
message.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Amen. Chotemet.
Yalla.
I'm just thinking of a bittersweet song that's Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael. It starts very slow. Achenu, and it has this very slow and deep feeling to it. And it's really a song about all of Benay Israel. We are all brothers. We are all family. And I think remembering that we are this one extended family, that we stand together. Our children will continue to fight in their way, and they will not give up. They will not give up. I don't say to David, come home, because he is home. He is very much at home. Do I want him back in his bedroom and here? Yes, but that's not going to happen for right now. They're not going to give up. IDF is not going to give up. And they will do it. They are a moral army, and they will do it in the way that they can do, in the best way that honors life. Because ultimately, that is our mission as a people, is to spread the light and to pursue life. And that is what they will continue to do. And that's our calling as well, is to make sure that we are in the ashes of the situation, that we build up a new reality for our people, for our children, and for our world yes, focusing on that we're committed all to each other and the love and the kindness, but do it in a way that it's not temporary, that it lasts, and that it sends a very loud message to ourselves, to our immediate families, to our religious communities and beyond, that we take this darkness and we can build from it, and we will. And our children will be there, our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be able to look back and say, this is what they did for us. Never again.
Amen, amen. I mean, you said it perfectly. The IDF is a moral army. There is no other army on the planet that tells people they're going to come in, give you 48 hours, evacuate the area because of morals, because of the values, because of the light. And I really do believe that we are a light unto nations. And I thank you both so much for your leadership and for allowing your children to serve their country and to be our heroes, because they don't ask. They don't ask. Well, they wouldn't do it if they weren't raised the way they were raised. They wouldn't have a calling if they weren't raised by parents. And I think it's our duty as parents to raise our kids to love Israel, to feel strong about their Judaism, and you're doing that. And that's why your children are in the front lines. And I know that it's hard. And I know at moments you feel like that we're all here and we're all here to support each other. And we're gonna make it better all together as a community. That's what we're doing. We're the light. We're gonna make it better. And God keep everyone in Israel safe and everyone here in the United States and around the world safe. And thank you again for being here. You saw all right here on Moms Matter. See you guys next time.